Shalom. This is the book of Colossians, chapter 2, and verse 8. It says, "Beware lest any man spoil you through vain philosophy and deceit, after the rudiments of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after a Mashiach," alright, which means the anointed. First and foremost, want to begin by giving all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders that great millstone who do well. Peace, blessing to the saints at Akim. Meaning the elect virgin pushing the shoe 24 corners of the earth, giving all diligence to make the call and election show. This is Brother Kwana from the Great Millstone Camp Trinidad, coming once again through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai to do our lesson, Lord willing, that edifying to the elect to the nation of Israel. Alright, without further ado, it's just that I was scrolling through the media, well, mainly TikTok, and as this precept came out here firstly, alright, a guy by the name of Bobo, Andre Bobo, alright, who claimed to have some common understanding, alright, of the scriptures, which he don't, alright, and he was speaking all sorts of garbage that Selassie is the Godhead, and then Selassie is Jesus, one set of garbage, alright, a whole heap of garbage, alright, as the scripture says, teachers having itching ears, and this is just that the prophecy is being revealed, alright, that many false prophets, in Matthew 24:11, it says, "And many false prophets shall arise and shall deceive many." Alright, so there are a lot of false prophets, alright, going to be out here preaching all different sorts of doctrine, alright, bringing in all different sorts of heresies. But remember, scripture says, by every idle word that a man speaketh, alright, he's going to be judged for it, he's going to be required for what he said. Alright, so these guys who have just to fulfill that lot, but this is also just to warn the flock, alright, because the scripture says in Colossians 2, as I start off with this precept, Colossians 2 and verse 8, it says, "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy." Alright, let's go to the my sword and just get at our philosophy. So the word philosophy, alright, love of wisdom, use either of zeal for a skill in any art or science, any branch of knowledge, used once in the NT or New Testament of the theological, or rather theosophy, of certain Jewish Christians as Asinites, which based itself with refined and speculative inquires into the nature and classes of angels, into the ritual of the Mosaic law and the regulations of Jewish tradition, and respecting practical life. But the key point about it is, alright, the love of wisdom will use it of zeal for a skill in any art or science, any branch of knowledge. And this is what you're going to find, alright, because they're all different sorts of knowledge, alright, but as if it's the true and right understanding of the knowledge, alright, if you know what I mean, because they are knowledge to do wickedness, alright, but as the scripture says in Sirach 19, and I believe it's verses 22, it says the wisdom or the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, alright, so whatsoever they push forth to many might sound good, but it ain't good, alright, because it's a deception. It's just a level of knowing something, and knowing something don't mean it's based to be true, alright, because he was based on Selassie is a god, alright, and this kind of bullshit he was going into, alright, which he himself was a mortal man, alright, who died and was buried in a cesspit or a shithole, All right. And then with the scripture says, because he's a lover of wisdom, but what sort of wisdom? All right. They are good wisdom and they are bad wisdom. Because they are wisdom to the wickedness and they are wisdom to seek the Most High and fame. All right. So there are different types of wisdom, as the scripture now select the word philosophy goes into what a lover of wisdom or use of skill or zeal. You understand? So coming back out Colossians 2, it says, beware lest any man spoil you through through philosophy and vain deceit. All right. So let's check that with deceit. Deceitfulness. All right. Delusions, deceit, fullness, deceivableness. And there are a lot of deceivers, all right, who out here, as we read in Matthew 24. All right. Many false prophets. False prophets bring forth deceiving things, like the prophet with Jeremiah in the book of Jeremiah, 23rd chapter, which he came and prophesied saying that, hey, the Lord going to remove, the next, the shackle from around the necks. All right. And which Jeremiah came and said, hey, if the word of that prophet had come to pass, then you know that the Lord didn't send him. All right. And then that happened. And then what happened? He was put to death. And that is what's going to happen to a lot of them, because they are coming out here, all right, preaching heresies, claiming that they have the truth. But when you start to get on to the nitty-gritty or the nitty-gritty of the scriptures, all right, and you start to come back to the basis of the scriptures, then they try to run from that and try to hype up a whole scene and get all loud and all clamorous, because it have a saying in the world that empty vessels make the most noise, because they don't have sound doctrine. All right, their doctrines have a lot of flaws, which this truth is going to condemn. All right, this truth of the proper understanding of the scriptures. All right. So he says, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world. All right. So what is the tradition of men? So-called religion. All right. Religion was created by your adversary, the devil, which is Esau, Edom. All right. He have created that to keep you in bondage. Well, not he, but ultimately he was directed of the Most High to do what he did. All right. But nevertheless, this was part of his arsenal to deceive many. All right. Because on all platforms, so-called Selassie, all right, he went and kissed the queen hands. See, he was in the alley alongside the Masons, which a lot of them do know, all right, or don't understand that he was in that bracket, all right, because he was set up to deceive. That is their lot, all right. He was set up to deceive. So tradition, right? So the word tradition goes into giving over, the act of giving up, the surrender of cities, the giving over, which is done by word of mouth or in writing. Yeah. All right. Paradosis. Alright, so just basically going into that. It says tradition of men after the rudiments of the world and not after Hamashiach. Alright, so I mean, come on. Once they ain't coming from the scriptures, you're off. Once they're trying to justify some point that he was a god, Selassie was a god, alright, and you can't prove that through the scriptures. The scripture says in 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter, it says, prove all things, verses 16. Alright, so if you can't prove these things, in the book of Isaiah, it talks about bring forth your strong reasonings. Alright, produce your cause. And if you're unable to tie in what you believe in, alright, or bring the truth out of the scriptures, is there is no light in you. Isaiah 8:20 says, to the law and to the testimony. Alright? Scripture talks about that in Isaiah 8:16. Bind up the testimony among my disciples. And what is that testimony that we held or we hold? Alright? These scriptures, which is of who? Of Yahweh Shai. And he was sent by Yahweh. Alright? And he gave us this understanding, not by our will, but by his will. He have chosen us. So therefore we ought to stand and warn the flock. Alright? Scripture say, mark them. Mark them. You understand? Which speak contrary to the doctrine. But there is a judgment for that. Alright? Don't feel that that's just going to go all out and you can speak as you want. The Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is a power of knowledge. First Samuel. You know what? I could get that real quick. There's First Samuel chapter 2 and verses 3. It says, talk no more so exceedingly proudly. Let not arrogance come out of your mouth. It says, for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is a power of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. So don't speak arrogantly. Because remember, alright, you have to give an account. You have to give an account. Because that day is coming. That great day of judgment, alright, is coming where Yahweh Shai, who the world is ignorantly called Jesus Christ, is going to return, alright, to render judgment to every man according to his will. Remember that. This is the book of First John chapter 2 and verses 18. It says, little children, it is the last time. Now who is these little children he's speaking to here? Alright, so when you read First John chapter 2, well, it's right here in a couple of verses up. Alright, he says, well, I have right unto you fathers, because you have known him from the beginning. Alright, so the ones who were predestinated to understand this, alright, were the ones this book was written for. Because they're coming back in what? In their lot. To do the right thing. So he says, little children, it is the last time. This is the last time. He was speaking about some bullshit about, oh, there's no last time, you know. Oh, Salak. That actually was another one. Alright, another one who went to Daniel 8 and I believe it's verse 13. Alright, and was talking about 70 years or 7, something along that line. Salak, I can't remember exactly. Alright, but where he was talking was we not in the end. Alright, that what you were saying, we're not in the end. But the scripture says, was measured all the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, know therein that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the earth which he created. Alright, which he created. So he says, little children, it is the last time. And as ye have heard that Antichrist, and there are more than one Antichrist. Anti means against. Alright, anti-anointed, against the anointed. Alright, so he says, shall come. Even now are there many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. We know. For the amount of false doctrines and philosophies, alright, that have out in this world, hey, clearly indeed. Clearly indeed. Clearly indeed. Alright? Clearly indeed. And that is just the truth. And guess what? A lot of people get offended by the truth. Because the truth offends. Alright? The truth offends. The words of this scripture in the right order, in the right breakdown, coming through the right vibration, in the right name, it offends. Alright? So this just was a quick one through the Spirit, Lord, willing that edifying to the elected in nation of Israel. I want to give all praises and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakodash. Double honors to the apostles and others, a great millstone who do well. Peace, blessing to the sincere Akim, many the elect brethren pushing the shoot 24 corners of the earth, giving all diligence to make the call and election show. Shalom.